It gets so hot in here. A third time is a charm with this intro, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Rachel. I am a second-year OBGYN resident physician, and I have a special video for you guys today. I'm here with a special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Bree. I am a fourth-year medical student applying OBGYN this cycle, and I've been working with Dr. Southard for the past month on my sub-internship.
If you guys are familiar, or if you've seen my prior videos, I did the same exact sub-I in my fourth year of medical school. Can you explain it better?
Yeah. So the audition, what I've been describing it to my friends and family who are not in medicine, it kind of acts like somewhat of an interview where you show up and you kind of get to showcase like your skills, whether or not you're a good fit for that specific program, but also getting a chance to meet the residents a little bit before interview season. So
exactly. Just as a disclaimer, this is not a residency interview. If there's any programs like OBGYN programs that are planning to interview her for her residency, this has nothing to do with that, and do not take these answers into consideration because this is just a casual sit-down interview. This interview is just for fun. It's not serious. I just wanted to kind of get her perspective back on the channel because since I'm obviously not a med student anymore and have that disconnect a little bit, I feel like having a med student perspective is good for all of you guys. And I'm sweating so much. I need a little dose of AC for 1 second. I'm so sorry. It is so hot.
No, it's fine.
I have a list of questions that I want to ask her, and we're just going to have fun with it. So, biggest question, why OBGYN?
Prior to entering med school, I was always really interested in women's health, and I kind of knew that OB-GYN would probably be the field that I would end up going into. However, once I got to my core rotations, I was also starting to be interested in a little bit more about fertility and endocrinology, and getting to see that OB-GYN has all of these specific subspecialties and just different types of medicine involved in it because it's women's health as a whole. I knew that it was the perfect match. I knew I would get the clinic, I knew I would get the surgeries, and I knew that ultimately I would be able to follow these people like throughout their lives from their reproductive age all the way to menopause and postmenopause, getting to not only be a part of the best days of their life when we are welcoming their babies into the world, but also some of the more challenging times. I know that especially in this field, things can get quite difficult, but I'm excited to be a part of their care during those times. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit like really great points, and it honestly is a great interview answer. She's totally right. OBGYN is so great because you get the variety, you get to see these people throughout their whole lives, you know, if you're their doctor for life, because you can do the primary care along with all of the like female reproductive care. And it is a really special field in the sense that it is, I feel, more emotionally charged than other specialties because you are dealing with like the most vulnerable, intimate parts of someone's life, and you know, to be that caretaker for someone is a really special position to be in. Totally agree with you there. Our next question is, so obviously I've been with Bree on labor and delivery quite a bit the last few weeks, and so I've gotten to know her very personally within the limits of the ACGME, and I'm not asking her questions that I shouldn't know the answer to and blah blah blah. She mentioned that she is a little bit more soft-spoken, and people have told you that that's not suitable to be an OBGYN. Like, what are your thoughts of that? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, so I actually remember the comment very vividly. It was during my internal medicine rotation, and I was told, you are a little too quiet, a little bit too soft-spoken, and I think the words that they used was like emotionally fragile, and I wouldn't cut it for OB-GYN. And I think that that just fits a narrative that we should be swaying away from, that we all have to fit into these specific personalities in order to go into specific fields, like the ortho bros or, you know, the EM docs, and it just feels as though like we're putting people into a box. And I think that, yeah, I may be soft-spoken, but I also think that I have power in that. I'm an empathetic person by nature, and I think that some people want a physician that's soft-spoken or want a physician to handle these really challenging times like gracefully, and I'm not someone to beat around the bush, but I also want them to know that I care for them, and if that comes across as I'm too empathetic, then I don't see that as a weakness. I think it's a strength.
I agree with that. We need to really get away from these stereotypical things or like labels to put on people that are supposed to fit these certain specialties. And OBGYN is one where I've noticed that you need to be like this fierce, I don't know, like
cutthroat.
Cutthroat, in control, like very surgeon-esque. And I am not like that. You can be like that if you want. I'd rather come off as someone who is more soft-spoken, especially in these delicate things that we deal with every single day, and to be more sensitive, you are very good at like reading the room and adapting to people and going from there. But yeah, I don't think that it's a bad thing. To those of you who feel similar and you're like, I feel like my personality doesn't fit, you don't need to fit these boxes, and medicine is slowly changing to where you are or should be accepted for who you are. You should love who you are. You know, you don't need to change it because of the specialty you're in. Next question, how are you balancing life and medical school?
Yeah, so I'd love to say that I'm balancing it 50-50, but that would be a lie. I think as medical students, we have a lot of stress because when we get home from the day, we're technically not off. We still have to study. Thankfully, I'm not in that position anymore. I'm just applying to residencies. But when we get home, we have to study and we have to think about our shelf exams. And then we also have to think about our school's requirements. And so it can be tough sometimes to balance, like, am I performing well? Do people like me? Am I going to get a good evaluation on this rotation? But then to also have all of the things to deal with when we get home. But for me personally, what helped is my fiance and my dog. And I prioritize spending time with them. And I prioritize at least once, hopefully twice or 3 times a month, spending time with my really good friends that are not in medicine.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives me like the chance to, I don't know, like be who I was before I went to med school, like really get in touch with that person. And I don't know, I feel like medicine kind of changes you a little bit, and it's nice to see those people.
Yeah. Since you are still in medical school and you're not, you know, too far out from like the heavy study times, did you find yourself saying no to a lot of things and like hangouts and such, and do you regret saying no to those things now?
Yeah, looking back on it, I do regret it. Because I do think like if it's a 2-hour hangout sesh, I don't think that that's going to be the big, like, I don't think you're going to fail an exam if you miss hanging out with someone, especially during like step 1 and step 2 studying. I would say no to everything. And that one day or like those few hours is not going to make or break you. And I want to tell people, I didn't take my own advice, but like, just do the thing, hang out with those people, especially if they're not in town very often. We have to also take care of ourselves, and if that means hanging out with people or just being by yourself and enjoying the things that you like to do, like just do it.
I feel like I always say that. I feel like a broken record, and I needed you to say that so it can back me up. But just say yes to those things. Like, studying will always be there. It's not going anywhere. It will be there when you get back. Fun question, if you were not going into OBGYN, what specialty would you go into?
Honestly, it's so tough. Maybe at the time I was thinking gastroenterology. I actually did an elective in it.
Oh, nice.
I didn't end up liking the elective. I love the people that I was working with, but I just didn't have like the stimulation that OB-GYN does.
Yeah.
I think maybe hem-onc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but again, I think I picked the right specialty with OB-GYN. Like, I just don't think I could do it every day.
A lot of people also ask, like, how did you know it was right for you? And I think if you can't see yourself in another specialty or doing it every single day, then it's probably not the one for you.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And when you have a passion for something, just go with that gut. Also, it is so hot in here, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like adjusting my scrubs because I am profusely sweating right now. Another question. What is one thing you wish you knew before starting medical school?
I think it kind of goes back to the question that we were just talking about. I wish I knew how to prioritize my own happiness. We're all type A individuals. I shouldn't say we're all, but a lot of us are type A individuals in medicine, and so we put a lot of our self-worth on our success and our performance. But when you feel happiest, at least for me, it's when I'm with my friends and with my family. And then every once in a while, if I get like a really good score on my boards or things like that, that makes me really happy. But anytime we're feeling like a little bit maybe discouraged, knowing how to prioritize your time and knowing how to prioritize yourself or taking care of yourself, I wish I would have known that prior to my first year. I think I learned like my second and third, and even now, I think I can balance it well now, but I was a mess my first year. I was like busting my butt in anatomy lab and just trying to give it my all, but then ultimately sacrificing myself in the process.
Yes. And I feel like most of us do that. And then you reach the point where you're just like at the bottom and you're like, I actually can't continue, and then you really have to reevaluate all of your actual needs that you should have been focusing on the whole time, and then you're trying to play catch up. Try to learn those things ahead of time, learn what you need, and make that a priority and a routine before you start these big journeys like going into medical school. Another fun question, working with us residents for the month, what are some of your observations about OBGYN residents?
That's a good one. I would say I have been able to see just how much you guys care for each other, this program especially. You guys always always will pick each other up. Like the other day when we were doing a delivery and then a bunch of triages came in. Even though you weren't technically supposed to be working labor and delivery, you stepped up and you helped out. Like, it just feels like very team oriented. But I've also noticed we're all a little tired, especially especially nights and the 24s. But ultimately, we all care and we all want to be there. And the residents especially, I feel like, although they're tired, they still wake up every day wanting to be there and wanting, maybe not every day, but wanting to take care of these people. And then after every delivery, I've always noticed, like, the room lights up. Like, I feel like we're all, like, a little bit of an adrenaline rush, like a little bit excited, a little giddy, and it like takes me back to my first delivery, which I love.
Our program in particular is we're all like sisters. I mean, it's all females, all of the residents. We have a very strong bond, and we'll bicker, you know, that's normal. It's normal for like siblings to bicker, and that's how I feel like we are. We can have like moments where we're kind of like, but then we are still hugging each other, we're still laughing, and we have moments, where we are just like siblings, and it is really great. And it's important to pick a program where you see those kind of bonds, because those are the ones when you're having the hardest day ever, those are the people that are going to be around you to pick you up. And our program's very lucky in the sense that we are very much like that.
When you are applying, or when you get to the situation where I am, and you are, whether or not you're doing auditions or sub-Is or just doing the meet and greets during the interviews, really vet your program and see, like, how do the residents interact with each other. And
you will see ones that are well bonded and ones that aren't, and really take note of that, because as much as the program is picking you, you're also picking that program. Think about who you're going to be with for those 4 years. Moving on, let's see. I know we only have a few minutes left. Have you ever felt imposter syndrome, and how have you pushed through?
Yeah, I think we all have. I still have it now every once in a while. I don't think that we necessarily get rid of that imposter syndrome, but I think it takes like a few patient encounters where you know that you made a difference, or you know that my knowledge that I've been working so hard to attain is actually paying off, and I'm caring for this person now. But during like the first and second year, that imposter syndrome doesn't really go away. You just have to trust that you're sitting in this seat for a reason. You made it this far for a reason. And if this is really your passion and something that you want to take forward with you, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. And you are going to be a doctor, like you are, or whatever you're going into, going to be a PA, going to be an MP, like you will push through and you will make it. Just trust yourself and trust all the steps that you've taken to make it this far matter and are worth something. And I think it says something even if you don't always tell yourself it.
I think that if you didn't experience imposter syndrome at some point, that's something to worry about, because you should be questioning, what am I doing? How have I gotten here? Am I okay? Like, am I good being here? Am I good enough? Because you've gotten there, and yes, you are, but I think it's good to reflect and ask yourself those things. And oftentimes when you are uncomfortable and experience that imposter syndrome, you do something maybe a little bit different, or you feel something a little bit different, that you're just further like proving to yourself over and over that yes, I can do it. And you build that resilience and persistence through that really uncomfortable feeling. And I feel like an imposter all the time, because I'm working with, my senior resident who is so much more knowledgeable than I am. And I'm just like, God, like she probably knew this as a second year resident. And I'm like, I feel like I know nothing. But then you prove to yourself that you can do these things. And then when you're like a senior in the moment with a junior resident, and like you realize how much compared to them, you are where you're supposed to be. In the times that you're reflecting and you're like, I feel like an imposter, like really sit with that and think about it. Reflect on your growth and how much you know now compared to how much you did not know prior to that. Yeah. My camera thinks that it's overheating, and it probably is because it's hot in here. Yeah. So I think that's a perfect time to wrap it up. Any last words or remarks for our people watching?
Yeah, maybe just for the pre-meds and the medical students, and also the residents, I guess for everyone, just keep going.
You guys, my camera got too hot. You can do it. This is the message for you to do it if you needed to hear that today. It is obviously really hot in here and we're sweating. We will wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Bree, for doing this really random, spontaneous interview. I'm so glad we got to do this.
No, me too. Thank you.
I hope it was helpful for you guys. Comment down below any questions, comments, whatever you want. We will see you in next week's video. Bye.
Bye.